Hi everyone, welcome to our next lesson, which is fractions of a whole, and it's lesson 8.4. The Unlock the Problem says, the first pizzeria in America opened in New York in 1905. The pizza recipe came from Italy. Look at Italy's flag. What fraction of the flag is not red? Well, name equal parts of a whole. A fraction can name more than one equal part of a whole. The flag is divided into three equal parts. Here's 1, 2, and 3. And two parts are not red. So if we see, we have white and green right here. So the two parts are not red. Those are going to go on the top, which is also called the numerator. And the three total parts, 1, 2, 3, goes on the bottom, and it's the denominator. It says to read 2/3 or 2 parts out of 3 equal parts. We're going to write 2/3. So 2/3 of the flag is not red. We do have new vocabulary words, if you heard me say them. The first one is numerator. The numerator tells how many parts are being counted. So that is the top number. The denominator tells how many equal parts are in the whole or in the group. So up here, that would be the 3. You can count equal parts, such as 6, to make a whole. So what this is showing us is there are 6 equal pieces. We can see that. 1/6, one of them is shaded. So it's 1/6. Now we have 2 shaded. So we would call that 2/6. Now we have 3 shaded, and we would call that 3/6. Now we see we have 1, 2, 3, 4 shaded. So we would put the 4 in the numerator. So we would get 4/6. Here we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we would write 5/6. And then our last, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we would write 6/6. All 6 are shaded in. So for example, 6/6 equals 1 whole or just 1. So do we see how all of these are shaded? If all of them are shaded, then that means it equals 1 whole. So try this. It says write the missing word or number to name the shaded part. So for A, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. So here's our 6 in the denominator. How many of those pieces are shaded? 2. 1, 2. So they write it 2/6, and we would write it in words. TWO, 2/6. For B, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal pieces. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are shaded in. So we have 5/8. So on the line, we would write the word 5. For C, we have 1, 2, 3 equal pieces. So the 3's in the denominator. How many of those pieces are shaded? 1, 2. So we would write a 2 up here in the numerator. And we would read it 2/3. For D, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal pieces. How many are shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in our numerator, or the top, we would write 6, and we would read it 6/6, or 1 whole. For the share and show, for number 1, it says, shade 2 parts out of 8 equal parts. Write a fraction in words and in numbers to name the shaded part. So it wants us to shade in 2 of the pieces. I'm just going to shade in these first 2. Now, since 2 are shaded in, we would read it 2/8. There's 8 equal parts, so we would write TWO, 2/8. If we were to write it, the fraction would be 2/8. This is how we would write the fraction for our 2 shaded pieces. For numbers 2, 3, and 4, it says write the fraction that names each part. Write a fraction in words and in numbers to name the shaded part. Well, for number 2, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So each part is 1/4. If there's 4 of them, each part is 1/4. We would write it, how many are shaded? 1, 2. So we would write it 2/4. And the fraction that we would write for the shaded part would be 2/4. And that's what would go on the last line. So that is for number 2. For number 3, each part is, well, how many pieces do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So each part is 1/6. How many are shaded? 1, 2, 3. So we would write it 3/6. And our fraction for the shaded would be 3/6. So all of this information would be for number 3. For number 4, each part is, well, how many parts are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So each part is 1/4. How many fourths are shaded? 1, 2, 3. So we would write it 3/4. And then how would we write the fraction? It would be 3/4, or 3/4. And that would be the answer for number 4. All right. Now the on your own, they want you to do the same things as what we just did. They want you to write the fraction that names each part, write a fraction in words and in numbers to name the shaded part. So for number 5, each part is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So each part is 1/8. How many of those 8s are shaded? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we would write it 7/8. And then in numbers, we would write it 7/8. So this would be the information for number 5. For number 6, how many equal parts are there? 1, 2, 3. So each part is 1/3. How many of those thirds are shaded? 1, 2. So in words, we would write it 2/3. And in numbers, we would write it 2/3, which would be 2/3. So this is the information for number 6. For number 7, how many equal parts are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 equal parts, so each part is 1/6. In words, we would write it. Well, first we need to figure out how many are shaded. 1, 2, 3, 4. So in words, we would write it 4/6. And in numbers, we would write it 4/6, and we would say it 4/6. This is the information for number 7. Now, numbers 8, 9, and 10, they want you to shade the fraction circle to model the fraction. Then write the fraction in numbers. So for number 8, it wants you to shade in 6 out of the 8. So you can choose any 6 to shade in. You could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you could shade those in. And in numbers, we would write 6/8 because there's 8 total pieces, so that goes on the bottom, and 6 of them are shaded in, so 6 would go on top. For number 9, it wants you to shade in 3/4. So you can shade in any 3 that you want. And in the numbers for the fraction, we would put the 4 at the bottom. That's how many equal pieces. And the 3 would go on top in the numerator because that's how many are shaded. And for number 10, it wants you to shade in 3 out of 3. So we would shade in 1, 2, 3. All 3 of them we would shade in. And our fraction would be 1/3 would go on the bottom because that's how many pieces, equal pieces there are. And then the other 3 would go on top because that's how many are shaded in. And then last, we're going to do number 11. It says a flag is divided into 4 equal sections. One section is white. What fraction of the flag is not white? So I'm going to draw us a picture over here. Here's my flag. It's divided into 4 sections. One section is white, and the other ones are not. So I'm going to fill those in. What fraction of the flag is not white? Well, what is our denominator? Our denominator, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal pieces. And how many of those pieces are shaded? Because how many are not white? 1, 2, 3. So for our answer, we would say 3/4 are not white.